I'm 61. For most of my life, I lived with quiet dignity, steady, polite, and always careful. I never asked for much, never made waves. Love, for me, became something distant over the years. A story I used to know, but forgot how it ended. My husband passed away 5 years ago. Since then, my world settled into a gentle rhythm. My modest job, my garden, evening tea, old movies. A calm, predictable life. Safe. I truly believe my days of being deeply seen, truly known, were behind me. But 3 weeks ago, something shifted. Something I can't unsee. It was raining that night. A soft, steady rain that quiets the world and makes everything feel just a little more fragile. I stayed late at the office, cleaning up an error for my team. My boss, Greg Bennett, had left early for a dinner meeting, but before going, he called to tell me his son would be swinging by to offer me a ride home. I almost declined. Jason, his 20-something son, was someone I'd only seen in passing. Company barbecues, office parties. Tall, polite, kind smile, and that effortless ease that youth brings. The idea of him driving me home felt awkward. But when I stepped outside, my umbrella struggling in the wind, I saw his SUV waiting, headlights glowing. He jumped out and jogged over, rain speckling his hoodie. "Hey, Miss Collier," he grinned. "Hop in? I've got the heat cranked up." "Just call me Diane," I replied, smiling despite myself. Inside, the car was warm and smelled faintly of leather and citrus. He drove with quiet confidence, one hand relaxed on the wheel. I folded my hands in my lap, murmured a thank you. "Honestly," he said, "I kind of needed the drive." The silence between us wasn't uncomfortable. The windshield wipers hummed, and the rain turned the city into a blur of lights and reflections. I glanced at him now and then, catching the way his jaw flexed, the dimple that appeared when he smirked at something on the radio. "You've worked with my dad a long time, right?" "Almost 20 years, I replied. "He talks about you a lot. Says you're the one keeping the whole place together." I laughed softly. "Someone has to." He smiled, but his expression shifted, grew quieter. "He doesn't really know me," he said, eyes fixed on the road. "Not like you probably think." "What do you mean?" He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled into a small park. The rain had softened to mist, and the dashboard glowed blue on his face. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't plan to say this, but I don't think I can keep pretending." I braced myself. Maybe it was something about his father, or school, or life. But what he said next left me breathless. "I've thought about you for a long time. I know it sounds crazy. You're older, you work with my dad, but I've watched you at those events. The way you carry yourself, it's like you're made of quiet strength. I just wanted you to know someone sees it." I stared at him, stunned. His voice wasn't shaky. Not desperate, just honest. "I don't expect anything," he added. "You don't owe me a thing. I just needed you to hear it." A strange ache bloomed in my chest, not because of what he said exactly, but because I suddenly realized how long it had been since anyone looked at me that way. Not since before my husband. Maybe not even then. When he dropped me off, it was without fuss. "Good night, Diane," he said softly. I stood in the foyer long after the door closed. Everything looked the same: amber lamp, framed photos, the worn rug by the stairs. But I didn't feel the same. His words rang in my ears like a melody I'd forgotten. At work, I avoided Greg. I felt exposed, as if I were walking around in something sheer, though I dressed as I always had: cardigan, flats, a modest blouse. But something inside me had shifted. Jason's words had slipped through cracks I didn't know were still there. Midweek, he texted, "I hope I didn't make things weird. I'm sorry if I cross a line." I stared at the message for minutes before replying. Asterisk, you didn't. "Thank you for trusting me with that. I'm still thinking." Asterisk. He responded simply. Asterisk, take your time. "I just wanted you to know." Asterisk. A few days later, he showed up again. Greg's assistant had called in sick, and Jason was asked to deliver paperwork to a client. "Hey, Diane," he said when I stepped outside. "Need a driver?" This time, I didn't hesitate. The drive was quieter, more thoughtful. When we parked, I turned to him. "You really meant everything you said." He nodded, every word. I'm still processing. You're young and I'm... Don't, he interrupted gently. You're not just your age. You're Diane. Warm, sharp, and when you laugh, the room softens. That's what I see. I wasn't prepared for how deeply those words would land. I'd built walls over the years, steady, polite walls, but his voice slipped through. That night, sitting by the fireplace, I stared at my phone when his message came. Asterisk, are you calm? Would be okay if I stopped by. Asterisk. My heart fluttered. I typed, just for a little while. 20 minutes later, he stood at my door, and when I let him in, I realized something I hadn't dared to believe in years. I still wanted to be seen, and someone saw.